Hello guys, this is Danny at ParTay. So just a quick update on the ALR vid that I uploaded a couple of days ago. So I got a little bit of backlash for that, and I kind of half expected it. And the reason for that is because I know that, there's folks out there that are, basically calling their product ambient light rejecting. And nobody likes to backpedal, so I get it. And let me just say this for the record: I am not on an ALR crusade. I'm very much going to call out what I see things as, what from a professional standpoint. It is what it is, or it isn't. It's that simple. But one guy I reached out to, and he was very cordial, because I just said, looks nice, but you know, not really ALR. And his response back was kind of what I expected. It was just nice to see somebody be honest. And essentially what he said was, well, really, ALR is more of a buzzword. Get it? And I get that that's the mentality out there. That with a lot of folks, ALR has essentially just become a bit of a buzzword. I'm just going to call it what it is, guys. In professional circles, it's not a buzzword. I get what they mean. What they're trying to say is that it helps fight some ambient light. But I think once you start making compromises like that and calling your product something that it isn't, where does that end? Because if you call it something, if you get people that are out there looking for something that's ambient light rejection, true ambient light rejection, okay, and then they buy your product, they may very well be very sadly disappointed whenever they find that it's not truly ambient light rejection. And then, what's your response going to be back whenever they reach back out to you? You're going to say, well, really, ALR is more of a buzzword. So, I get it, totally get it. Not going to, like I said, I'm not carrying that flag up the hill. I just wanted to, for the folks who watch this channel, just wanted people to know, at least from a technical perspective, what is the difference. If you want to call your stuff ALR, I would say if it's not, you do so at your own risk. But this individual, like I said, very cordial guy. I mean, he wasn't really selling anything. He just had a mix out there that he had put out for folks to take a look at. Now, I mixed up his formula, his paint formula, and it was a combination of one part deep onyx, it's a Glidden, and it was a deep onyx black flat. It was a third part of Rust-Oleum silver glitter, and then 3/4 part of Valspar, which is also another Rust-Oleum product, Valspar silver metallic polyurethane. So that was the mixture. Now, that mixture is right here on the right. Now, I'm going to tell you what I see good about it, and then I'll tell you some cons about it. Not to impugn it. As a matter of fact, for a black paint mix, it's one of the better that I've seen out there, because I've tried a number of them in the past. And I will say that this, at least somebody did their homework in trying to figure it out. And I like where they were headed, trying to, use the transparencies. So, from that, I'll give it definitely kudos. On the downside, what I'm going to say is that, you end up with some of the same problems, and potentially a couple more, that you do with a lot of the black mixes out there. And I'm just going to come up real quick. So I'm using a 2500 lumen projector. I'm sitting about 9.5 feet away. Let me pop this back. Hold on just a second, get my controller. There we go. All right. So here's one of the first things you're going to run up against. If you look at it, there's sparklies all in it. Now, if you're a person where the sparklies don't bother you, then, that's fine. But, over the course of time, certain lights, certain colors that hit, it just appears even more sparkly. Whereas this is a Sirius here, you can tell it's more flat, right? Not flat like, flat matte. It's a very balanced image. It doesn't have all the little sparklies that this has. Okay? So that's one thing that you may want to be considerate of. Now, on the plus side, it is darker than the Sirius mix. Somewhat. And I say that because the way Sirius is made, the black that you see in, you know, a general room, the contrast is there. It's embedded. It's behind. And then it's because essentially you're going through layers to get to that level of contrast. So, you know, it's going to be darker. This is blacker on the surface because it's pretty much it's paint. It's all surface. But you can also see, but because it's black on the surface, that it's dimmer. And I'll hit this and give an example here so you guys can see. You can see it's going to be a lot dimmer. Now I have windows open, angled down, front facing light, angled down. So you can see Sirius is much brighter, offers much more in the way of midtones and brightness. Um, it's just all around, and you know, even more so here as I'm looking at it, I can really see the dimness in the one on the right, the paint mix. Here's two other things you're going to have to face long term if you went with a mix like this. And I'm saying like this, not necessarily this mix. If you went with this mix, you're probably going to face them. Not all mixes out there the same as this one, though. So here's two things. One, the polyurethane that's used in this is oil based. Over time, because you're mixing acrylic based and oil based type fluids, those oxidize at different rates. Because they oxidize at different rates, as it cures, you run the risk over time for this one to start cracking, and you'll get that separation that happens in your paint cracks, right? So that's a real probability whenever you start mixing oil and water-based type fluids. The second thing is that you'll notice this one tends to have a bit of an amber kind of color to it. Immediately, because it's an oil-based poly, it does have an amber base to it. Over time, it's only going to get darker. 5 months, a year down the line, it's going to be, a shade darker than what it was when you first did it, if not more so. And it'll only progress from there. And that's if it doesn't crack, because oil-based polys will always amber over time. So, if this is the kind of approach that you're looking for, you just want something that you can paint on your wall, then by all means, man. As a matter of fact, I would push you towards, now if you're looking for something, if you're okay with like a charcoal, something that's going to give you some deeper contrast or a greater band of contrast, Phantom HD Illuminant has a great charcoal screen. And I would say if you want something, if you're the pure black guys and you need that pure black, it's just the thing that turns you on, then my recommendation would be to talk to Sonic Chill about his paint. And I would say that's if you're painting on a wall. If you're looking for something that is really more of a, say a true screen, then I would highly recommend Sirius. For $120, you can get up to a 120-inch PVC screen. These are not a paint mix. They're not going to crack. It's basically a plastic film that has been developed through liquid but cured appropriately. And quite frankly, they're very flexible. As I mentioned in one of my earlier videos, I refer to them as skins. So this is just to give you an example of how this holds up against just a standard black paint mix. Alone, if you were just looking at this, not so bad. Looks pretty good. But in comparison to what you're able to achieve whenever you move away from paint mixes, it's just, I can't explain it. I'm not knocking paint. It's just that you don't have as much control. You just don't. There's an opaqueness to paint that you just have to overcome. So you would have to either thin it out, you're going to have to do things with it, or else you're going to have to stay in the light category. Because once you start getting into darks, that's really where things become problematic. But I'm going to go ahead. That's enough for us now. Thanks, guys. Bye.